Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Merlin X Spaces. My name is Mario and I'm going to be hosting from the Merlin account today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be getting started momentarily. Let's just give a little bit of time for more people to join in. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and just put that background music again. Good evening, good morning, depending wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Merlin X Spaces. Again, my name is Mario, and I will be hosting from the Merlin X account today. So I hope you're all having a beautiful day. I don't know if Abs, if you're ready to get started, but I just wanted to give you a moment to speak, introduce yourself, and maybe let's get this show on the road.
Well, Mario, if you know me, I am a shy individual, but my name is Abs, and I'm excited for tonight. Johnny Crypto, looking like it's me and you, but I see we got Sin City joining us as well. So I want to give a shout out to the Sin City boys. If you want to come up here and talk, just request to speak. We'll add you up immediately. But Johnny, how you feel, my friend, and what's on your mind?
Yes, Abs, I know you're a very, very shy person. For anybody who doesn't know, Abs is very shy. We're trying to get him to break out of his shell. But Abs, I'm doing great. Good evening to everybody out there who's listening, all the Warrior Maniacs, Crypto Maniacs, whatever you are, BTC Maniacs. It's all good. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're glad you're here tonight. And yes, I've invited Sin City and Jenna and Echo and Quincy. So, Mario, as you see those guys, feel free to please bring them up. So whenever they're ready, they can chat. But Abs, I'm doing great. It's another great day as we wrap up. We're getting very close to the end of the year, and hopefully everybody's doing well tonight.
Absolutely, Johnny. And I want to give a shout out to B as well. She told me to read the title. So USA Blastoff, Bitcoin Spot ETF Q1 2024. That's what we're going to be talking about. And yesterday we had ARK Invest put in a filing on the DTCC. So it just goes to show that things are in the works. But Mario, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, and then we'll kick it to Gonzo.
Thank you, Abs. Appreciate it. Super happy to be here. Sorry, there might be a little bit of feedback. Let me get rid of that.
Thank you, Abs. Yes, I'm doing amazing. Hope you're all doing great too. It's been a really interesting last couple of weeks in crypto, so it's definitely an exciting time again. Looks like things might be heating up, so more exciting times should be yet to come. But nonetheless, I'm doing amazing. Happy to be here. Grateful to be here, and grateful to talk to all of you.
Gonzo, I'm super excited you're here as well. I was watching the Ethereum dominance today, and you called it, my friend. It's continuing to drop, but we'll address it later. How you feeling? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing good, bro. Just really excited to be here with you guys. I see my guy Sin City Crypto here, so thanks for being here. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a great spaces.
We got to kick it to the Sin City boys. I'm not sure which one of you's on here, so I'm not sure who to give a shout out to, but we appreciate you joining us. And what's going on in Las Vegas tonight?
Yo, what's up, guys? This is David from Sin City, one half of Sin City Crypto. Thanks so much for inviting me up here, man. Always excited to talk about Bitcoin, the ETF. Vegas is interesting. It's the other day I was out in my kid was having a soccer game, and it was like summer again. Weird, but we just had that big IFC event with Karate Combat. It was a lot of fun. So any content creator who's in Vegas, to definitely come check out our studio, hang out with us. We like to have a good time.
That's awesome. When we're out there, we're going to be there for XRP Las Vegas. It'd be awesome to meet up if we could do that this year, too. I know Gonzo got to do it last year. I'd love to see the studio personally. But before I kick it back to anyone else, Sin City, I'd like to hear, what have you guys been focusing on recently? With so much exciting news, we got the Bitcoin ETF, we got regulation on one side, and then we got Elizabeth Warren and JP Morgan attacking crypto on the other. So I'm interested to hear your narrative on that whole ordeal. I don't know if you've been following the Elizabeth Warren stuff, but she just filed a new mandate for the Blockchain Association, asking them to expose all their information to ex-military and ex-government officials. So payroll, what they were doing, all the information that they were provided. That's what Elizabeth Warren's asking for. So I want to hear your take, and then we'll kick it around the group.
Yeah, man. Look, Elizabeth Warren, she's probably my favorite politician. She's pretty pro Bitcoin. No, all jokes aside, it's just funny the hypocrisy that comes out of the mouth of some of these politicians. You know, we showed a video clip of her on our show today. There was an article, and we also showed a video, but the article talked about people that were, former FBI, government, whatever, and getting hired by these crypto companies. She's pretty much saying, like, nice try, you shouldn't be doing this, but when politicians leave their field to go and work for companies like Raytheon and Boeing and any other contractor, that's all good. And so it's just funny the standard that crypto and the companies are held to versus what their friends in, like, let's say, the banking industry. But as far as the ETF, I know there's ETFs live in different countries. I know Canada's got an ETF. I think there's one in one of the countries in Europe. But what people got to understand is the U.S. is the largest capital markets in the world. And so we're talking trillions of dollars. And what's intriguing to me is, we talk about the greatest wealth transfer in the history, right? So you have the baby boomers who control anywhere between 50 to 80 trillion dollars of assets and retirement funds. And a lot of this is handled by financial advisors. So, what these people do is they go in once every 6 months, once every year, they sit down with their financial advisor and they game plan, okay, hey, I'm 10 years away from retirement, or we're 5 years away from retirement. Where are we going to move our money? And up until we get the ETF, no financial advisor has legally been able to speak on any crypto, including Bitcoin, as an investment vehicle. But that all changes with the spot ETF, because now you have a regulated product in the traditional markets. So can you, and what people got to understand is, I was in that insurance world. I was studying to get my license in my Series 6, 63, and 7, which allows you to talk about and kind of sell some of the more stock products. And these financial advisors, they make money when your portfolio makes money, right? And so all this hype and buzz around Bitcoin, and this spot ETF goes live, right? And you get people coming in. You would be absolutely stupid as a financial advisor to not learn a little bit about Bitcoin and be able to give your clients that option, especially if you're smart enough to understand, okay, the halving, what does that mean? Take a look, maybe look at the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. How has Bitcoin performed? Because not only will you be making money for yourself, you'll be making money for your clients. Everyone's going to be going and asking about it. And if you're one of the few that is not offering, you're kind of taking a back seat to the rest of the companies and the advisors. You're going to have that. Also, I feel like what's not getting a lot of attention is the new accounting rules that came out, the FASB. And Michael Saylor talked about this on CNBC this morning, is prior to the new ruling change, companies that held Bitcoin on their balance sheet, you weren't able to show it as a valuation to your company, right? If you wanted to realize the valuation and add it to your market cap, you would have to essentially sell the Bitcoin. You couldn't write it off at fair value. Now that changes, right? Now that changes. So you have this whirlwind of things happening that literally directly affect the price of Bitcoin, and it's all going to come together essentially at once. Oh, and then we have the halving, supply gets cut in half. So super bullish on the ETF. And I know some people are like, well, it's not what it was supposed to be. Look, Satoshi's vision was peer-to-peer for Bitcoin, right? It's in the white paper. Pretty safe to say peer-to-peer is not really what Bitcoin has morphed into, right? It's more of a store of value, hedge against governments, essentially financial sovereignty. And if you want mass adoption and you want number go up and you want your portfolio in the green, you need something like a spot ETF. As long as the people in here that truly care about the sovereignty side of it, that are still able to buy the Bitcoin, pull it off the exchange, and actually own your Bitcoin, you got nothing to worry about. And everyone else, if they just want exposure through an ETF or a centralized vehicle, then that's great too. As long as the decentralized self-custody option is available side by side.
You said a lot of great stuff there. You know what it reminds me of is we were comparing the gold ETF launch to what could happen with Bitcoin. And the time period that we were focusing on is from the time of the approval of the ETF to the official launch. And that's usually 6 to 8 weeks. What we figured out that happened with with gold, is that it had a 180% increase in that 6 to 8 week period before the ETF was actually implemented. If we apply that to Bitcoin, that could mean that it gets approval in early January. We have a price run up to about early 70, high 60,000s. And then from that point, the Bitcoin news is approved and we go into a 3-month bear market. Now, I'm just copying and pasting what happened with gold, and I'm sure it's not going to be the exact same thing. But to think it would be similar, I do think is pretty reasonable. I want to hear from Johnny. What do you think about that?
Well, here's an idea. First, why don't we ask Elizabeth Warren to expose all of her lobbyists' lobby money and banking money? How about that one? How about that one? Let's see what that looks like. Talk about hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is, if there was a hypocrisy meter, I think I'm going to turn the rat snake weasel into a hypocrisy meter, because it's kind of like the same thing. And boy, that would be off the charts. But I'm in exactly the same. By the way, David, thank you, Sin City, for joining us tonight. As I've been saying this for a while on our show, liquidity, 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 and boys, we are going to see a liquidity event in BTC like we've never seen before. There's a tsunami coming, because all of these, financial institutions, they can't put their clients into BTC ads. I mean, I remember listening to Scaramucci, and he was saying on one of his shows that he can't put more than 5% of his assets into BTC. So they're all regulated. The hedge funds are regulated as shit. You've got the financial advisors that are regulated as shit, and all that is going to be going away. And boy, that's why there is no greater time in human history to be alive and to be able to invest and front run a market like we're going to be able to in this one. And for that reason, yes, I think regardless of what happens in the short term, as you were talking about 2 or 3 weeks, I don't care about that. What I care about is what's it going to look like when we get past all that, all that fake buy the rumor, sell the news, and get past that stage of it, and we get to the reality of all this money, all these financial advisors starting to drive their clients and their 401k packages and plans into these, to get exposure to Bitcoin. And then once they get the talking heads on TV saying, once CNN and Fox News start telling everybody it's okay to invest in Bitcoin, then you're going to see everybody who right now thinks it's a scam and calls us crazy for being in the space. They're all going to get off the couch. They're going to call their financial advisor, but hey, I want a little exposure. And that's just, I think, going to drive the price, into the 100, maybe 200K range. And that's what I'm looking for. And then Michael Saylor will look like the smartest man in the world.
Making this a more important conversation, Johnny, let's move away from Bitcoin and focus on other altcoin products. If we start to see companies like Grayscale launch these digital baskets that we've talked about that are 10% Cardano and 10% Solana and XLM and XRP and AVAX, once those products are launched and people are investing in their 401ks without even knowing about it, that's when this market goes into a bull market and doesn't pull back 95% during a bear market. The question that I have for you, and this is a multi-billion-dollar question, I guess, is this finally the time when not only those products are implemented, but we actually see a difference in price because of this institutional adoption? What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, well, as I said, that I think you're going to see the floor of BTC to get raised. That's what that's going to do. Step one, all that new liquidity that's going to come in. That right now, when you look at the market, it's what's called the trader's market, right? Yeah. Look at where Bitcoin kind of landed, or I should say the crypto market landed around $1 trillion, or about 800 billion to about $1 trillion. Is kind of where it flattened out. Remember when we were in the bear market? So that's the floor, and that kind of lays out what it kind of can hold, where value can hold, right, as a store value. Now you're going to have a new level liquidity that when you look at a bull run, money comes in and money comes out. So the floor goes up and the floor goes back down. But when you're talking about an a new asset class, BTC ETF, money comes in, money's going to stay in. These things, 401ks are buying and hold, right? So now imagine, and I'm just making up numbers, so none of this is real. Well, let's just say you're at $1 trillion, and now you got this new, BTC ETF that comes in, and now you're that bottom floor because all this new money comes in, and now you're at 2 trillion. Well, that's going to naturally raise the price, supply and demand, simple. So for me, I just look at it as we are going to see a floor elevation to a new level and a little plateau there. And so to answer your question, are we going to see, now the altcoin market is going to be interesting to see how that plays, because normally money would flow into BTC and out of BTC. Well, this time money's going to flow into BTC and it's going to stay into BTC, a good chunk of it. Now, some will come out, and that's what I call the halo effect. And there'll just be a halo effect in general, because everybody's going to hear about BTC, and BTC is synonymous with crypto. And so I think you're going to get this next leg is going to be a great bull run. But a good chunk of the money is going to sit, I think, in BTC and raise the floor of BTC. How that impacts the alts, we'll have to see. Now, I think as they create alt ETFs, and you're going to see a shit ton of them, you're going to see an Ethereum ETF, then you'll see an XRP one, and then your baskets. So you'll see, segments. You'll see a gaming ETF. You'll see a smart contract ETF, a cross-border payments ETF. You know what I mean? Those will come in and drive the floors up. So I think that's where we're headed. I think that nobody's going to want to hear this, but I think the 4-year cycles bull runs, I think those will probably come into an end soon. Or what I should say is you may not get those vicious pumps as we see normally, because I think a lot of this is going to stabilize with the ETFs.
More importantly, Johnny, when we talk about the opposite side of the aisle here, we look at the Blockchain Association and what they were just requested from Elizabeth Warren. It came out today, and this is official, that Elizabeth Warren was seeking assistance from the American Blockchain Association, the American Bankers Association, sorry. So they basically went to the people who are contrary to crypto and said, you be the ones to create the rules for this in the USA. It's almost unbelievable if I didn't have so much knowledge about how this stuff works. But Mario, I want to get your opinion, and then we'll move on to some other stuff.
Sorry, Abs, I was looking for the mute button. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think that, a lot of this stuff that we're seeing, we're seeing a complete evolution of the crypto market, and we're seeing a transition of Bitcoin specifically going, as Sin City mentioned, going from this decentralized peer-to-peer system to becoming what is essentially centralized. So we're actually seeing decentralization be less and less, and it's becoming centralized by these institutions. So I think that a lot of Johnny Crypto said is 100% spot on, in my opinion. I really think that these 4-year cycles are going to become less dominant going forward, especially as this asset class becomes a little more mature. Nonetheless, there's always going to be opportunity, and I think especially with crypto and a lot of these altcoins and a lot of these projects that are in such early speculation stages, that part of it is, in my opinion, going to stay for a little longer. But yeah, we're witnessing history in the making as far as crypto.
Let me ask you this, Mario. Do you think that products like Grayscale had launched before Ripple was sued in 2020? Like, we know for a fact they had not only applied for a XRP ETF, they had applied for a diversified product that was like Matic, Polygon, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And just remembering off the top of my head, I believe the percentages were 30% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum, 12% Solana, and then 10% XRP. So XRP was like the 4th largest token in that diversified fund. I think those types of products are what will make a huge difference over the term. But the real question is, does that come into effect next year? What do you think?
Well, I mean, specifically for XRP, I think the clarity is there. There's currently a lot of confusion between what is a security and what isn't as far as the other tokens are concerned. As XRP, the clarity is there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a product specifically tied with XRP that comes out next year. I think as far as everything else, we have to kind of see how regulation takes play. I really think we're coming to a point where the pressure is on. They're going to have to do something about it. We've got big players now being attacked, like Coinbase and the other big exchanges. So I really think that the pressure is piling up, and there's something to give very soon. So if we get that regulation come out next year, then yes, I really think institutions are going to feel safe in taking that step forward and introducing all these different products, which is obviously going to bring more capital into the market. But for as long as we have this uncertainty, for as long as we have Gary Gensler doing whatever he thinks he's doing and just playing the back cop and not really answering questions and not giving clarity in the space, I think that's creating this uncertainty in institutions, and it's making them just stay on the sidelines for the time being.
Gonzo, we talk about like 4-year cycles pretty often, but what's clear is that if we are going to repeat another 4-year cycle, this year was the first bull market year. And that may be difficult for people to understand because it didn't break all-time high, and we're not in like this price discovery range for a lot of these assets. But I think it's really, really clear that 2022 was our bear market for crypto. Just go and look at the charts on the weekly chart for like 13 years, and it's so obvious that when you look at these long-term, Johnny, when we look at these long-term trends, I think that next year is set to be bullish. 2025 is set to be the peak of the market. And then 2026, supposedly, if we just repeat, is going to be that next bear market where we get these massive pullbacks in price. So what that tells me is 2024 and 25 are the times when this crypto stuff is going to be marketed like we've never seen before. And that's what I'm kind of preparing for myself. But I want to hear your take, Gonzo, before we move on.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. As far as like the 4-year cycles, look, if you go in depth and you look at the charts and you see what Bitcoin has done, it hasn't really done anything too different. I think a little bit earlier, a lot of the people that are Bitcoin maxis or that are heavy into Bitcoin, look, they thought that we were going to get a high about 35K, and we've obviously gone way higher than that. We got to kind of wait to see. The one thing that makes me nervous about the spot ETF is that it feels almost like when we were back a couple of years ago, and everyone thought we were going 100K. Remember how it felt like everyone was 100% sure we were going 100K, and the market rolled over on us, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's not going to get approved, but I think you have to keep your mind open that there's a small chance that when we get to that January 10th window, right, that maybe he does find a different excuse to deny it, right? Because that's the deadline for deny or approve, and then not deny it forever, but push it into that March window where now the rest of those applications are now approve or deny, right? And that would give us that correction that everyone's expecting. But like, I kind of just take it one day at a time and just try to be present and try not to plan too much into the future, because then that's when you get caught up in your emotions.
Johnny Crypto, switching gears just a little bit here. I had a pretty funny conversation with one of my friends this morning where he was like, yeah, XRP, doing the exact same thing it was before and after the lawsuit. And I had to just admit that he was right. It was a tough pill to swallow. But as we look at what XRP's done ever since the resolution of the lawsuit, it was a big move up to 90 cents, and it's been nothing but bearish price action ever since. And that's pretty much typical for XRP. So, like, what's the deal from your perspective when you talk about XRP's price action? We have clarity. The lawsuit's basically over, yet we're sitting here doing the exact same thing. And it seems like the big players in the room still aren't willing to use or really talk to Ripple. So I want to hear your take as supposedly the realist in the room. What do you think's going on?
Well, like I said at the beginning of the show, liquidity, liquidity, liquidity. Liquidity is not going there. It tells you that either one of two things, and this is just my pure opinion, so we can throw it around the room here. And I'd love to hear from the audience too, guys. By the way, if you're down there and you're listening, don't feel like you have to. Come on up, raise your hand. We want to hear from you. But for me, Abs, it's just one of those things where either the big boys aren't excited about the narrative anymore. Remember, the reason why XRP was so big and so popular was in 2017. It had the best narrative. It was like, oh my God, this coin is going to run the world. This is the coin that's going to be the cross-border payment coin that all the banks and everything are going to use to transfer money. And that's a very, very exciting narrative. 7 years ago, okay? And 7 years later, there's no real, and everybody's going to kill me for this, but whatever, I'm the realist, so I'll say it. There's no real evidence that it's kind of gotten traction, that the world is running on this now. Now, there's a lot of trials and things like that happening, some in some places, but when the elites look at it and say, is it investment worthy, it obviously hasn't met their standard yet. Because if it did, believe me, smart money knows where to put its money, and they're not putting it in here, obviously.
Can I just, Johnny? I know it's not the most popular narrative, but I kind of agree with you, man. I mean, I'm not I like XRP. I hold the portfolio, but I'm looking at the markets are ripping, right? Everyone's like, well, there's no clarity. The court case. Okay, I know it's not completely over, but essentially the summary judgment said XRP is not a security, right? The sale of XRP was not a security. So why is XRP just staying stagnant? And maybe it's because I haven't dug too deep into what's going on. I know they're helping some nation states with CBDCs, but I don't know, man. It's to a point where I was starting to really add to my bags at 62 cents, 65 cents, and now I just kind of stopped. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe people aren't that bullish, and who knows? I know it's not a popular narrative, and the XRP army might not be happy to hear that, but hey.
Yeah, now they're going to come after you, me, and Charles David. But the reality is, hey, that, and that's just the reality of the reality is, look, it's one of my biggest bags. So unlike Charles, I believe in it, and I think the narrative play is over. It's played out. It's done. People now want to see the proof in the pudding, right? They've had 7 years now. Now I get it. The monkey was on the back. They were being sued. It slowed them down. I believe all that. I really, honestly do. But now they have no excuse. The monkey's off the back. The case is over for the most part. And now they have no excuse not to grow this thing and get it out there. So now they've got to go and they've got to prove that they can gain traction ads. And I think if they do, and they start, putting some wins on the board, you're going to see some serious excitement flood into this space. But it makes zero sense that the only crypto in the world that has legal clarity in the United States can't get out of its own way. I mean, it's frustrating for all of us. We're all frustrated. And I see it. I see the comments when people, retweet back to me. They're like, Johnny, I've been holding this for 6 years. I can't take it anymore. I'm like, just stay on the ledge. Don't fall off. Don't jump. But I get it. The people have been saying this thing for a long time, Abs. And there was a lot of hope for it because it had a great narrative. So here's where I'm going with this story. We got the bull run coming up next year. What's the narrative that's going to drive this thing? Or where's the proof in the pudding that the narrative that they spun is now taking off? If one of those two things happen, then I think we'll see XRP make a nice run in the next bull run.
And this is where I do want to kick to Gonzo and Echo, but I want to give a quick comment. We had a really important conversation last week where we talked about, and I think it was Mario who brought it up. He said it's a make or break bull market. And Johnny, mute yourself, getting an echo. It's a make or break bull market for XRP. There's no doubt about it. I've held this token for over 4 years, and it really does feel like 4 decades. But it's not going to be a time where if this market, if Ethereum is 10 grand, it's 100 grand, and Solana is maybe $500-600, and XRP is trading at even $1 or $1.10, that is a massive. Not only did it underachieve, it's almost a failure because that money could have been anywhere else in the market, and the missed opportunity, the cost of being in XRP for that time period, that's what's a little bit frustrating. But let me remind people before I kick it to Gonzo. I love XRP. I'm a firm believer in XRP, and I do think it's going to perform extremely well, not only because the monkey is off its back, Johnny, but because that lawsuit suppressed price action in 2021. And what we know about this market, there's almost no dispute, is that it's algorithmically driven. And so if that's the truth, then we're going to see something from XRP that we've seen in the past. Maybe it won't be the exact same thing, but I am anticipating we will test and break all-time highs. That's my hot take for tonight. I'm going to kick it to Gonzo and then Echo, and then I want to kick it to our guest, Hugh.
Yeah, I'm with Johnny. Look, it's one of my biggest positions, and if it does well, great. But that's why I also diversify, right? It's an old coin, old narrative. And Johnny's spot on. We judge these older coins harsher, right? Because that promise is now gone. Now it's about the fundamentals. Now it's about traction. And if you don't get traction, then it's not going anywhere, right? Because what it's competing against is the promise, right? These new tokens like Celestia, right? What happened with the airdrop on Solana? It's the promise, right? Solana is right now running. It came back from the ashes running not as an ETH killer, but just like a better solution, right? It's running on this narrative that it's going to become the retail chain, right? That maybe Ethereum somehow survives, it does EIP 4844, but it becomes like an institutional chain because of the yield, because there's a spot ETF coming, right? But it's very expensive to use. So it's like, unfortunately, the market doesn't run on logic, it runs on emotion, right? Things that we look at, the fear and greed index, right? TA, why does TA work? Because it's emotion, right? We look at the Wall Street cheat sheet. What is that judging? What is that gauging? It's gauging the emotion of the market, right? And so you're competing between the promise of a new token, the shiny new toy. Everyone thinks you're going to get rich quick overnight. And we all know that's not true, right? Against an older token with an older narrative. But there's nothing like price appreciation to get people's attention. So if it could start to get some traction and start to move up, that's when people will start to pile in.
Echo, I'm going to kick it to you, my friend. Then we'll go to our guest.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on. XRP Army in the house. So I wanted to just make a comment. I understand where it comes to a token that really doesn't move, right? It can be very frustrating. I mean, if you think about pretty much almost every one of the ISO tokens that are in that list, they pretty much haven't moved, right? And this is where that narrative of, hey, where that flip of a switch will come in, right? So you gotta, it's more so like, hey, you have to have faith that what they're doing in the background with regulations and clarity, and once all of that comes into place, it is going to happen. So what I do and what I tell people is that, hey, instead of focusing on the price, look at the project itself, look at the ledger, okay, or even look at Stellar, right, or any of these other projects like XP. Look into their ecosystem, right, because what a lot of people don't realize is that there's projects inside of the ecosystem that are actually moving, right? And I'm not trying to like shill any type of like meme coins or anything, but let's just say, for example, X meme, right? If you would have gotten the X meme on the XRP ledger, I mean, everybody already seen how fast that sucker moved, right? And if you were able to catch that, cash out at the top, then you made a pretty good gain. Same thing for like Casino Coin, Equilibrium. I mean, these are projects that are built on the XRP ledger that people aren't talking about, right? But instead, they're just focused on XRP itself. I love XRP. Don't get it twisted. Right, but I try to gear people to say, hey, look at the underlying projects that are built inside of the ecosystem, and this goes for not just XRP, it goes for all ecosystems in general, because that's what made Ethereum so special back in the days, right? Same thing for Solana right now, So yeah, again, it is tough to hold on to a token that doesn't move, but I believe that with the lawsuit wrapping up, because there's still one more piece of the lawsuit where it was Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson that had their XRP in it. They're going to see if if they're going to get what if they're going to deem it if it was a security or whatnot. We're going to remain to be seen. But also, I think about the AMMs too, the automatic market makers, right? And how that will go into place because it's almost like a switch itself. Like if they're going to vote yes, and we need them to hold consensus for 2 weeks once all the votes have been completed in order to do so. And I feel like that, one of the big points that XRP is going to be taking over, or what they're looking to the ledger's looking to take over, is the FX market, right? The foreign exchange market. And that's where the automatic market makers will really come into place. So, for me, I'm like, I don't think about the price too much, to be honest with you. I haven't looked at the price in days because I told everybody, look, when XRP's price moves, I already know when it's going to move because everybody's going to be blowing me up. My phone's going to be blowing up. My X is going to be blowing up. TikTok is going to be blowing up. So I just say,
Hey,
be
Echo.
patient with it. Yeah.
You know what else is going to be blown up? Hopefully, your Merlin exit plan telling you to get the hell out of Dodge.
Right.
Your alerts are going to be going off. Time to sell. Take some profits, right, baby?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, for me again, I just want to put it out there that yeah, I am a XRP Ripple bull, but at the same time, too, I understand that when it happens, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen when we least expect it.
Yeah, I got to chime in here. So I'm kind of like in the same camp as you, Echo. I don't look at the price every day. Well, I do because Abs puts it on the show every day. But if it wasn't for that, like I literally wouldn't look at the price. I'm not worried about it. It's nowhere near where I need it to be or want it to be. And if things happen the way they're supposed to, it's going to go to where it needs to go. It's going to test all-time highs, and if it's got some real validity there, it's going to bust it. And we're going to look at the Fibonacci's next levels, and we're going to see maybe somewhere between $3 and $12, right? Very possible, realistically, if you believe in the Fibonacci. So for me, it's like we just got to wait to get there. We need the right narrative. We need the right liquidity behind it. The right, people, getting behind it to drive the cash into that pool. Now you have to remember something, Abs. In 2017, there were a lot less coins that money had to find its way to versus where we are today. And I think that's another. Now that's not an excuse because other coins are pumping, but I'm just saying. You got an old narrative and you got a lot of coins out there. Back then, you had a new narrative and less coins. So you could see why it was a lot easier for that thing to bust up, to all-time highs and get into the wherever it got, 380, 390, 360 level. Now, it's a lot harder because the same money is chasing a lot more coins. And that's why we need more money. And that's why the Bitcoin ETF is going to help drive some of that liquidity into, or a lot of liquidity into it. Plus, you got that coupled with the the Bitcoin halving. And, we're going to election year. So guess what that means? Fed's going to be lowering the rates. Got to make the economy feel like it's good. Everybody's got to feel good, right? So you have a lot of catalysts coming that's going to pump up this market. And that should hopefully drive all these coins to test their previous all-time highs.
Well, I want to kick it to our guests, but really quickly. So, Johnny, are you thinking that I define this as a make or break moment for XRP, and at some point it does become a psyop? I can't think of a better word than that, because at the same time as we're talking about XRP underperforming, it is sitting at either the third or fourth largest token in the market. So I want to make it very clear, as much as it feels like we're underperforming, if you did buy this thing during the bear market in 2020 or, prior to 2017, which is really far back, so I'm hesitant to even say that, you're still sitting in massive. And a year to date, we're up 88%. I think we're about to enter a bull run. XRP always pumps last, and it pumps the hardest, Johnny. Whenever this token moves, it moves way out of order. I remember being here after the lawsuit, watched XRP go to 17 cents from 70, and from that point over the next 4 months till the end of April, we were at $1.90. I watched it happen during a lawsuit. To think it's not going to happen this time would be just as naive to say it's going to $20, right? Like both of those are equally hot. To say that XRP is not going to move this bull run is just as naive as saying we're going to 589 this bull run. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And so the real question that I'm asking you is, as we're defining this as a make or break moment, is that just emotional talk from a long-term investor? Or do you think that most of the community really feels that way, that there's a lot of people ready to exit XRP? They've been through they see all-time highs. They're going to take their profit and run.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of, so you said a comment that's not entirely true. So not everybody's sitting in profit. There's a lot of people sitting in loss because that high that you mentioned, $1.90 that you saw, guess what? There's people holding a bag at $1.90, and there's other people, if you want to go all the way back to 2017, holding a bag at $3.80. So the reality is, yes, as soon as those people can break even, they're getting the hell out of Dodge. That's just human psychology. People just want their money back, right? So that's why we have walls of support and resistance, because of emotions. But once we get through all of that, and that's out of the way, yeah, I mean, it's not inconceivable to think with all the money that's coming in and with no monkey on its back, that this thing is going to retest all-time highs. I do think that will happen. I really do in this bull run. I think we'll see that. And the reality is, I think in the long run, Ripple, the company, which is flooded with cash, is going to do an IPO. They're going to become they're going to be a publicly traded company with, SaaS technology, right? Software as a service, or some type of, blockchain company that's going to produce products that some of those could potentially enhance the price of XRP. So for me, because of the size of the company and the relationships and the partners they got, it's worth putting some money into it for the long-term play, because I do believe they have a real-world solve in the cross-border payment solution. But I also believe that they've gone beyond that. They're looking at tokenization. Tokenization is going to be probably the single most big. It's going to be even bigger than cross-border payment solutions for opportunity. Tokenization is going to be huge, Abs. We talk about all the time on the show. There's quadrillions out there that can be tokenized. You just get a small piece of that, and XRP's through the roof. So, there's a lot of opportunities. There's custody as well. So I'm not sitting here saying it's time to get off the XRP train. I'm just saying all the hype that everybody's expecting, you got to decide whether you want to play that out. But do I think it's a good long-term investment? Well, I think it has legs. I think it's one of the horses I have in my stable, right? When I sold Amazon in 1997, that was retarded. I'm not making that mistake. So you don't know what's going to happen with these things in the long run. So if you think they have real-world solutions, it makes sense to hold on to some of those bags. And that's why it's important to have an exit strategy, Abs. And an exit strategy doesn't mean, I know we talk about this all the time with Merlin, right? Get an exit strategy. But an exit strategy doesn't mean you sell everything. An exit strategy means have some points along the way up in the next run, the next bull run that's coming, to be able to take some profits as that thing's going up, because we know it's going to pull back down. But take some profits along the way and then leave some for the long term. And that's what we're trying to do with Merlin. That's why we created it. You guys can click on the link somewhere. I think there's a link in here somewhere. If not, you just go to www.merlincrypto.com and go try it out 30 days free, because we want everybody to get into the mindset, Abs, of creating an exit strategy so they don't get wrecked in the next bull run.
Real quick. So my original question was, do you think a lot of the people in the XRP army are going to be quick to dump their bags now? Because that's what I'm really trying to figure out when it comes to portfolio allocation.
I think I already answered that. I already answered. So what I think, Abs, is the people who've been holding the bags for a long time, yes, I think they're going to want to get out and they're going to want to break even. I think that's what.
But don't those? And let me just give you the opposite side of the argument. Wouldn't the argument for that be that those people have held 6 years? They're probably the XRP members who are ready for the tokenization CBDC utility narrative, and so they're not going to be willing to dump their bags super quick. I think maybe most of the selling could actually come from like Ripple and some of the bigger wallets on the XRPL.
I think for the people who are paying attention, who have their ear to the ground listening, they won't sell. Be like, hey, this is finally catching on. This is good. The people who aren't and are just pissed off because they're losing money and they hate XRP because it's costing them money and they're sitting on a loss for years, those people will probably sell and get it. That's my guess.
I'm going to kick it to our guest now. Open your wallet.eth, my friend. I won't be opening my ETH wallet, but floor is yours, bro. Or woman, I'm not sure.
Well, first off, not a woman, a man.
I'm only teasing.
But I love the show. I watch you guys every day. You guys give out great information. It's not misleading in any way, so I appreciate that. Definitely with it for the long run with you guys. And Basically, I just wanted to bring some fresh perspective. Basically, I'm just a think out of the box type of guy. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with this, but I at least want to bring it to your attention. What you do with it is up to you. There's a movie that's called Elemental. Most of you, I'm sure, heard of it. It's a kids movie. It's PG. It came out 2023. All right. Now, what shocked me when I saw the characters, all right. So you have the characters Ember Lumen, you have Bernie Lumen and Cinder Lumen. The other characters that stick out: Brook Ripple, Lake Ripple, and yeah, so basically they have Lumen and Ripple. And I was on Twitter today and I saw this stadium that was called Lumen or Lumens. And that automatically made me think of XLM. Now, the point that I'm drawing together here is XLM and XRP. I'm a huge proponent for both. I see the value, the use, everything. But the charts, right? I think it was on the show today. You guys brought up the chart and how they're moving in like tangent. It's like almost like it's not a coincidence in my eyes. Something's weird, something's up, right? You can't pull up any other coin, token, whatever, what have you, and it's not going to show what that shows. So, and even the other somebody, Coke and Pepsi, it was related to Coke and Pepsi. So the fact that it's moving in tangent, number one. Number two, that they literally have characters, Lumen and Ripple, in a children's movie. We all know that crypto is the future, Web3. This is the future, all right? We know this. This is apparent. This is obvious. Okay. Now, the thing is, who's the future? It's children, right? Children are the future. Children will be running this world. We have to train and educate and teach our children the right way to do things, and because that's who's getting this place. That's the future. So I have to think, why are they putting these characters that are just? I see it as a huge, not a red flag, but a green flag. I think it's a good thing, but why the heck do they have characters with the last name Lumen and Ripple in a children's movie before all of this is going to really blow up? And a big thing is, I'm really into like movies and stuff. If you're familiar with like preemptive predictive programming, the thing behind that is they put this out in movies. You can look this up. This is a fact. I mean, there's plenty of case examples where they put this stuff in movies to get people ready for what's to come. As you know, the elites, if whoever knows, they're not able to like tell you like directly, like, hey, this is what happened, but they do it subtly. They have to put it out there so you at least, if you want to reach out and grab the information and do whatever you do with it, that's fine. But from what I've noticed is they always put this information out very subtle, and it's usually done through Hollywood, through movies. It's just weird. Why the heck? XRP and XLM. I mean, that's yin and yang. That's everybody. Those are the big ones. At least that's going to really shock the world, I think. But why are they putting it in a children's movie? Why? And this came out 2023. This just came out this year. Why are they doing that? That's all I want to leave you with. It's just very strange. It makes you think. That's what I like. I like to make people think differently. So,
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and of course, the kind words. And it really does mean a lot. And me and Johnny talk about it all the time. Like hearing from who watches the show, the actual individuals, is always more impactful than just seeing a message on Twitter or getting a kind message in the live chat. As much as that means, way better to hear your voice. So first of all, thank you for that. Second thing, when I first met Coach JD, and that's how I actually got the opportunity to start Good Morning Crypto, was he was talking about subconscious programming. And what he was saying is that 95% of what you do every day is controlled by your subconscious mind. The first thing you have to do if you want to become successful is reprogram your subconscious mind, the thoughts that you're not consciously aware of, to align you with the reality that you're working towards. So I know this is a little bit more like personality and personal development driven, but if you apply it to what's happening with these videos and with the long-term exposure, what is Hollywood? It's a massive consciousness programming institute. It just tells people what the social norms are for your generation. And so the fact that they're putting out keywords like Ripple and Lumen, it gets my conspiracy brain going, but I know a lot of people don't enjoy that conversation. So I'll keep myself fairly short. I'll kick it back to our guests and then we'll go to Johnny.
is that me?
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, and you just kind of opened up a small can of worms. I open up large cans of worms, but you open up a small can of worms, yeah. So that's actually how I met you guys, is through Coach JV. Great information, great information overall, the whole team. Yeah, that's what they do. It's everything. So basically, and this is all fact. I only speak from what I know. I'm not just I know everything that I'm speaking of. I study. I'm very into stuff like this. So basically, predictive programming, yeah, subconscious, anything you touch, see, taste, smell, all of your senses, whether you realize it or not. So if you watch a movie, everything you see, everything your eyeball is looking at, literally gets stored into your subconscious, whether you're aware of it or not. That's why we have so many patterns and all this stuff. But I mean, it literally gets all locked in there. So I don't know, this movie thing, it's just it's really tying me up. And oh yeah, okay, and I'll kind of close it with this here. Now, I don't know if anybody's familiar with this. I'm sure at least one person is, but David Schwartz, the OG, the god, the wizard, a genius, smartest person I think I've ever seen on the internet, to be honest. He created the first decentralized computer in 1982. Okay. And then he patented distributed ledger technology, DLT. And I believe, don't quote me, don't quote me on this, but it's like 1992 or something.
I
This was
think it was
before Bitcoin.
I think it was 88.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's even better. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that this man, and I think he's like basically, I think he's a secret weapon. I mean, from what I understand, look, okay, the way I see it, if this guy created a decentralized computer in the 80s, let's just be very blunt here, in the 80s, and then he came out with and he patented DLT technology in the 80s or even early 90s. That's still easy. Before Bitcoin. Now we all know this, right? Well, okay, maybe not. But here's the thing. What I'm getting at, they with COVID, the elites, they always say, don't let a good crisis go to waste. I love Klaus Schwab. Uh, pay sufficient attention. I can never stop laughing over that. But basically, it's like, why did they come out with Bitcoin? Why did they throw that out there when they already had this holy grail technology sitting just hidden? You know, that's another thing I think about. So if this stuff came out, the DLT and the decentralized computer by the same guy that's under Ripple, the same guy, how that makes, to me, it makes perfect sense. I think now they always do it, the yeah, don't let a good crisis go to waste. They do what is it? First they first they mock it, then they reject it. First they laugh at it, then they reject it, then they accept it, and the same type of thing. I kind of lost what I was going to say there, but yeah, I mean, to me, the way I see it, okay, if they know, and I think XRP and XLM, that technology, I think those are going to be the two ones that are just going to lead the financial forefront in the biggest way, in the most impactful way. It's just, yeah, the fact that it came out in the 80s. I mean, it came out in the 80s, and then you got Bitcoin, was it '07 or something, right around there? Um, it's almost like they threw a curveball out. Okay. What do they always do? They always want you to look over here while they're doing something over here. They don't want you to be in the loop with what's going to be huge and they don't want you to know about that. They're going to throw a curveball out, knowing that if I had to pick a percentage, I would say, gosh, probably 80%. That's probably too low there. Probably 90% of the people. It's like a squirrel, ADD, ADHD attention. With the Bitcoin, oh, squirrel, look over here. And while the real technology, the meat of the matter, is right over to your right, but nobody's looking at it. And that, to me, it's obvious because they have this it came out in the 80s, and then they throw Bitcoin out, and they know people are going to make millions and billions. They know there's going to be so much. I mean, so much hype. So much chaos. Really, I want to say chaos. Because how this kind of operates is chaos and order. Those are like everything's cyclical in nature. And I love Waters Above. That's another person I really like the stuff he talks about too. And it's always cycles. It's a cyclical nature. And basically, yeah, there's chaos and order. If you look at everything in life, it always falls. It comes down to these things. It flip flops off each other. So I believe Bitcoin was the chaos. Now, however you want to interpretate, that's fine. But I believe that was like the storm, and then pretty much XRP, XLM, XRP, it's going to be like the calm. Like that's when we're going to set sail on the ocean, and everything's going to come together. But I think the Bitcoin needed to happen first. They needed to get that mass adoption. They need to get people on board, become familiar with this Bitcoin. I mean, everybody's grandma knows what a Bitcoin is. It's pumped all throughout the news. But they're not pumping out the real secret hidden information. They're never going to do that. And another good thing that Waters Above does, the news is a broken compass, north, east, west, south. It's put in place to mislead you. That's why I don't watch the news. That's why I watch your thing, because I know if I watch the news, I'm going to get absolute zero credible, truthful, trustworthy information on crypto. It's nothing but a narrative. Why? Because all these news stations, they want people to look over here. That's all it is. They want people confused. Yeah, if you watch the news, it's like the last time I watched the news, it's like I got like a headache. There's just too much information. It's information overload. Another thing, a human being is able to absorb in the efficient way like 15 minutes worth of information. Now, this is true. There's studies, there's research. Now, when you're learning a lot of stuff, like new stuff, 15 minutes, once you reach over 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you want to add some extra minutes, but over that amount of time, you're not really retaining, you're not locking in any more information than within that 15 minutes. And they know this, they know human psychology, they know all of this. So I really think that's it. I mean, of course, there's going to be so many other tokens, coins that are going to be amazing. I'm a huge proponent on VRA, Veracity. They're solving $100 billion problem estimated by 2025 with the whole advertising. I mean, that's every company is going to scoop that up. So I know there's going to be a lot of winners, but there always needs to be like when we think of the Big Bang, like that needed to happen first for everything else to occur after that. There need to be, when you think of a race, what happens in a run race? People run around a track. What happens with that? What starts that race? Somebody doesn't just say, "Oh, go race." No, what happens? There's a bang. There's a gun. Pop. You need a pop. You need something to start it off. And I think it's XRP and XLM. I just do. I think that's the pop that's going to start the race to all of the other things coming in and actually having the foundations, the solidarity, everything. That's what I think. If you want to think about it like this, an analogy, I always draw up in analogies. Hopefully, everyone is going to understand this in my mind here. But I see it as like the ocean. Like this is crypto. Like this is the new forefront. It's the ocean. It hasn't been discovered. It hasn't really been like ventured out into. It hasn't really been. Everyone just hasn't really gone in the ocean. It's endless, right? When you think of an ocean, what do they say? Like 90% of it's mysterious. It's like it hasn't even been discovered. Like 90%, and it might be more, 95, I believe, hasn't been discovered. So this is something nobody knows about. We don't know where it's going. We have no idea where it's going. Before the internet came out. If somebody in the future came the exact time like the computer came out, like that exact month or at least that exact year, the information that the people that just came out with this computer and they had it for a year wanted to understand it to the degree of the people that have used that technology for 10 years. And if they back in the past and tried to explain it to them, it would make their head spin. They wanted to understand. We can't see what's going to happen, but we know the direction. We know the trajectory. We all know the trajectory. We know it's going up. We know it's going over the hills, over the mountains. We know this. Whatever coin, at least if you have half, but I think that's what it is. I honestly think that it's like the two ships that are going to lead it out and go find the new land, and all the other ones are going to follow. So I'll end it at that. But yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth in it, but I also think there's a lot of personal, and I speak for myself as well, where it's like we want our dots to connect in the same way we want our projects to succeed. Like I went down the David Schwartz rabbit hole in 2021, same way you did, where it was just mind blowing for me. He worked at the NSA. He worked for CNN as an independent agent. In high school, he tested first in the state, and he was elected to a special committee where they took him, and he worked with private organizations at like 17 years old. So it goes way deeper than you imagine. And I got to meet him in person just one time, and it was in September at the Ripple event. And let me just say, he's not normal would be the best way to describe it. Like he doesn't come as somebody where you go, oh, how is that guy the brilliant? Like he comes off that way, even though, and I think Johnny can speak to this as well, he might be a little hard to crack when it comes to a conversation, but there's just more going on there than I can even understand. So I know exactly what this man is talking about when he says that the David Schwartz rabbit hole actually led him to Bitcoin, so on, and I know what he's getting at.
Well, so first of all, like when I work with a really lot of smart, creative guys, extremely creative engineers, and their brains are wired differently, and it's almost like anything. When you start to, if you get too much of one thing, you get a little less of another, and it's true. You'll see a lot of creative people sometimes don't have very good people skills, right? Because their brains are are balanced differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just facts. That's all there is to it. But just to wrap the whole thing up on the Bitcoin on the patent, yeah, David released the patent in 1998. It's not a Bitcoin or distributed ledger technology patent. And David actually admits that it's not really anything to do with blockchain, but it is a similar concept. Apps where it talks about distributed sharing of computer power and things like that. So it was kind of like the beginning of the idea, if you will. You can kind of draw it to that way, but it's not actually. A lot of people say, "Oh, you invented the first Bitcoin." He didn't, and he even admits that it isn't. It's different, but nonetheless, it's on the right path. But as we got a few other people with their hands raised, let's kick it around the room there and see if we can get crypto in our veins and echo the floor so we can hear their thoughts.
Absolutely, guys. Now, I'll go to crypto in my veins first. And I also want to remind you, this space is hosted by Merlin. Link is right up above. So click on that link. What we do is we allow you to take all of your different cryptos from Uphold, Coinbase, Kraken, all these different exchanges. You can track them in one location, create an exit plan, and then you can figure out exactly what your profits and losses are going to be during a successful bull run. So pretty cool stuff. Go try it out. Absolutely free first 30 days. But with that being said, crypto in my veins, floor is yours.
Hey, fam. Good to be here. I'm not the smartest guy in crypto by any means, but I have been studying this stuff almost daily since late 2016. Okay. People think that there's $30 trillion coming into this market. It's going to be a hell of a lot more over time. I love what Johnny was saying about, don't sell all your crypto ever, well, at least not for a good long while. I honestly believe that the gatekeepers are going to suppress this until they cut retail off, and then retail's not going to be able to get in anymore. Okay, so I would suggest never selling all of your bags. And for anyone who doesn't believe in XRP, when you have Christine Lagarde out there preaching about an XRP, head of the IMF, and then you got Georgieva, I'm not sure her exact name, with the BRICS, preaching the same thing. How can you go wrong with that? All these Ripple connections that we have with all these big players out there. We got Google advertising now. It's been in all kinds of movies and TV shows. They're hinting at it, like you guys were saying. We got money markets, which I'm not sure how many trillions are there, but we got derivatives markets as well, which is 300 to 600 trillion, depending on the time frame and what's going on with the markets. And we just broke 112 trillion in global assets that can be tokenized. Like, the sky is the limit with this. It's just a matter of what piece of it we get. Like Johnny was saying, we could easily pump to extreme heights that we don't even see possible. And there's plenty of room for any good crypto out there that has good utility. There's a decent amount of them. So, stick to your due diligence. Don't ever sell all of your crypto so you don't miss out when they cut retail off. And just hold tight and be patient. The money's coming.
Shout out to crypto in my veins. I always appreciate when you come up here and speak. So shout out to you, my friend, for jumping in here all the time. I want to get Echo involved as well, Johnny. Can you add Echo? I just added Echo speaker, but Mr. Aquaman 33, floor is yours. Let's go to you.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you, brother.
We got you. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, my bad. Dude, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys. I really enjoy the show. I usually tap in every day. And I just actually recently met Coach JV at the documentary filming in LA last week. So, yeah, I just wanted to come up here and just express my thankfulness for your guys' platform. And I just really enjoy hearing you guys speak. Part of the XRP army.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much. And like I said, that really does mean a lot to our group in particular. Like, the reason we do it is so we can connect with like-minded people. So coming up and talking to us it means a lot to us. So not only thank you for watching the show, thank you for coming up here and telling us that. It does mean a lot. And Johnny, I want to kick it to you before we continue.
Yeah, Mr. Arca, that's awesome, man. I love hearing from our community and our people. And, it's so awesome to just be able to be around a bunch of, like you said, like-minded people. And I'm glad that, hopefully some of the stuff we're putting out there is just giving people another thing to think about so we can get you, as we're all sharing ideas and we're all trying to navigate the space together. None of us know where in the hell this place is going. All we know is, boy, it looks like a real field. And it's Crypto Marvin to say, there's just a shit ton of opportunity coming.
Johnny, we're getting an audio issue on your phone. If you can move it back to where it was.
That's interesting, Abs. I didn't even move at all.
It just faded out. It faded out
sure.
rapidly. It's still pretty far out. I want to say one more thing to Aquaman while Johnny figures that out. So I think what's pretty cool about our group in particular is that we did the same thing you did. I found Coach JV on TikTok flew out to Arizona and was like, what do I have to do to be involved here? That's how all these relationships kind of started. Somebody finds JV or one of our contents online, and then they take a step to be like, how can I get connected with this group and these guys? And I think what's so beneficial about our team heading into 2024 is that not only have we been around for a full bull market, bear market cycle, but last time it felt like we were establishing what we are. And this time it kind of feels like we're leading the charge. We're ready to head into 2024 and not only take profit, but come out as a different individual. That's what I think our whole community is doing. We're leveling up. We're ready to step into this market and take the next step forward. So I want to kick it back to you, Mr. Aquaman, and then we'll go around the group.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said right now. And yeah, man, that's part of me going down to, film that documentary. It was like Coach JB was going to be there. And I was just like, I was extremely excited, kind of nervous at the same time to meet him. And, that's what brought me here right now was, because meeting his energy, I was like, man, like I've been really tapping into his videos even more on a daily basis since last week. And yeah, dude, there's just something about my energy that's just wanting to be around other like minds. Right now is the time to surround yourself with like minds and to just get the research done. Being around fudsters and people who are just negative about the space, that's just that. I don't want to be associated with that type of energy. You know what I mean? So I just want to concentrate on and stay positive and yeah, man, just stay in the good fight because I feel like we're right on the precipice of when this thing is about to explode. I feel like something is about to go down, especially, the other gentleman was talking about how David Schwartz had, he patented blockchain in 1988. Well, the funny thing about 1988 is that's a dragon year when you go take it back to Chinese history. And then going into 2024, we're going into the year of the dragon again. So I feel like blockchain as a whole is going to blow up massively in 2024. And then, he also mentioned, Waters Above. I'm a huge follower of Waters Above as well. And, I learned from Waters Above that, X is the 24th letter and 2024 is going to be the year of X. So there's just a lot of good things on our side, not to mention all the due diligence and all the homework that you can go and do and just see the writing on the wall of what's really happening. But yeah, man, I really appreciate your guys' platform. Keep fighting the good fight. And yeah, man, you guys are awesome.
Thank you so much, dude. We appreciate it. Hopefully, when we have these spaces, you continue to come up here and we can keep talking like this because what you said not only makes sense in my head, but when you look at the years, it's so funny you brought up the dragon year thing. And there's a lot I want to say about this, but just listening to Waters Above, what is the famous saying in this market, Johnny? Without the pain, there's really no gain. Well, XRP's been through the most pain in this market. It really does feel like. And so hopefully we'll get some of the largest gains. But Echo, I saw we got you back up here. I want to kick it to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much. I just wanted to just because I have to actually get off here very soon because I had to go put my son to bed. But I wanted to just say thank you very much for having me up here. I was actually with Aquaman over at LA recording and meeting with Coach JB. And I would have to say that the XRP the documentary that's going to be coming out is going to be something very truly special. And I wanted to give a shout out to the people that are producing it, which are Chris and Maya Dodge. They're big, big XRP, fans and followers, and they're doing this out of their own, out of their own funds, right? And that just shows you how strong this community is and this army really is, right? And it's not just and I don't want to just separate just XRP in general from the whole crypto space itself. But the army, anybody that's been with XRP knows that we've been kicked down to the dirt, and we finally we deserve to see a W every once in a while. But I want to thank y'all very much. Abs, Johnny, Aquaman, Merlin, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Echo. Oh, go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
Echo, same ditto, brother. Love you so much. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you again tomorrow about that other thing. But I just want to say thank you so much for being a champion of the community and being there for the people and helping them understand XRP. If you haven't followed Echo, go check him out on TikTok. Some really good content out there, and we appreciate and we love you, man. So thank you, Echo, for being part of the community and being part of the spaces tonight.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Echo. Have a great night. I also want to kick it to crypto in my veins, but there's another thing that he brought up, and that's what I meant. I lost my train of thought with the Coach JV thing, was that when you get around a group of people who are like-minded, I feel like you can expand on your ideas. And so when you share, and let me just mute Johnny. When you, what is their famous saying? Don't cast pearls among swine. I know that's a little bit aggressive, but it's almost like if you share your ambitions with the wrong group of people.
What? So now, what? You mean don't cast stones? People in glass houses don't cast stones. I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
I don't know. Maybe I misquoted. Don't cast. I think it's don't cast pearls among the swine,
No,
right?
I think no, he's right because what he's talking about is like sometimes when you're with a group of people and instead of them trying to support you and kind of push you up, they envy you and jealousy and envy comes into play and then they try to find a way to pull you down. Is that kind of what you're talking about, Abs?
Thank you, Gonzo. You make it sound.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
see, I
going
call
for.
those people anchors, and you got to cut
Yeah.
that line, baby. Cut
Dreams,
And
that.
that's what I was
dream
saying. Where I'm
killers,
like,
right?
that's why
No, that's
this
the
group
biggest.
is. Go ahead, Gonzo. Sorry.
I was gonna say, no, that's the biggest thing about this team. I'm sorry to cut you off, Abs. But like, yeah, like it like when I think about my journey on like meeting Coach JV, how I ended up on this team, but like you guys have always been nothing but supportive. Like I'm closer to you guys on the team than I am some of my family members that are blood, right? I talk to these guys every day. We're building companies together. We get to spend time together. And like I would say, it's like the crypto it is what it is, but just spending time with these guys is worth gold, right? And these guys are there to support me. Even on like my worst days, I can call these guys up and we're all family, not just like us here on the team, but like the 3T Warrior Academy, like we're all family. Like if you guys saw the vibe of everything, right? And we all want to succeed together. Like when Abs gets a win, right? Like when he was up hosting at the XRP Vegas event, that was huge for me. I was so proud of him, right? I thought that was so awesome. So when these guys are successful, that's a win for me. I love to see that.
Be the man, Gonzo, first of all. But that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier. Like when you get around people who allow you to expand on your ideas instead of shutting you down or making you get defensive, you're able to get this momentum that you can't replicate anywhere else. And that's what I feel like people are coming to our group and they come to Coach JV because they know that he's not going to judge you for whatever your goals or ambitions or like whatever your perspective on the market is even. It's more so about becoming your best self, aligning with what you're supposed to be doing, and eventually you're going to get on the right course and the right path. Johnny Crypto, I want to kick it to you because I feel like this conversation has went a different direction, but it's still pretty valuable. Like the fact that we can apply a lot of these concepts to the market as well as our personal lives, like it's all valuable.
I think spaces are great for that reason because it's just a bunch of people sharing ideas. And what Gonzo touched on is so important is that's family frequency, right? And so we're at a certain level of frequency and we all get along because we're at that same, for those of you who might know, I'm in electronics, right? And so there's things called resonant frequencies. And so when the frequencies tune in, boy, everything sounds great. But when they're tuned, sounds horrible. And you can hear that because a certain frequency that's, in the sound, the audible sounds that we can hear. But we know that people give off frequencies and we're all kind of in that same frequency. And that's what makes it fun when you're around people that are of that same frequency that you are. It's just a good time. You want to be around those type of people and you feel good when those people do good because it's like a family member. You want to see them do well as opposed to opposing frequencies. And so, and Gonzo touched on something that's so important. He said, I talk to these people more than my family. I like them more. I give this example all the time. So we've built like 3 companies now, right? And so I've had friends, best friends with, I've known Abs for 40 years, way before you were even in diapers. And so those people who are my best friends, I still don't have a business with them. But you guys that I met just 3 years ago, I already got 2 more. I got more business with you guys than my best friends is my point, right? Why? Well, because there was some frequency, there was something there that led us all to feel good, to want to be with each other, to want to work together, to want to help each other, to want to see each other succeed. And that's priceless. That's hard to find. We were fortunate that Coach's daughter decided to talk him into making a TikTok one day. And thank God, God bless Raven, if you're listening, we love you. And that kind of all brought us together. And it was just meant to be. But anyway, point being, the frequencies are so important. Find your frequency, find your tribe, and then hang out with them, and you're going to feel a lot better because what you're doing without doing it is you're cutting the anchors out of your life. So you're doing it without having to say it. You're just cutting them out, and you're just going to float to the top.
Johnny, I want to go to our guest too, but a quick comment. I actually found in my own personal experience, you're better off not sharing your goals than sharing them with people. And I know it sounds horrible, but I've really realized that like every single time that I try to manifest something or I try to speak to it before it happens, it's not a success. But when I internalize it and I work towards it and I let it come to fruition and then I verbalize it, that's often when I see things actually come to fruition. So you're better off keeping those positives to yourself instead of sharing them with people who are just going to make you second guess yourself, unless you've got those loving, trusting group of friends that we're discussing right now or family members. But let's go to Crypto in My Veins, and then we'll go to our other guest, open your wallet.eth. I love that name. It's funny.
I got 2 things for you guys. First, I just want to say, everyone go down to that blue pill, smash the like, retweet the space. And, they're sharing all kinds of alpha here and on Good Morning Crypto. Show them that respect, you guys. Get that taken care of. And the other thing I want to say, education is powerful, even if it's self-education. There's lots of ways to self-educate yourself nowadays. Take advantage of it. Crypto is all about innovation, and that's a good part of why we're here today. And collaboration is the new currency, guys. We got to take advantage of all this stuff and take care of each other and try to inform each other the best we can. That's all I got.
Yeah, man. Kudos to you, brother. I love that. I love that. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's just so great to be around positive, high energy, high frequency people that just bring the best out of you. So thank you for that, Crypto. In your veins, you certainly do have that. And you also got some positive vibes in there. So I love that, brother. Thank you.
That's awesome, as always. Let's go to openyourwallet.eth.
Yep. And oh yeah, what I wanted to say, since you like the name Open Your Wallet, yeah, I just pulled that out of my noggin there. I got really into the ENS domains, but I do see it like it's going to be very giving, like because there's going to be much money. The people that have their hands in the right pots, there's going to be so much money once it all kind of blows up. And I know myself, at least, I'm going to do a lot of good with that money because, I'm not going to lie here. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and it's finally going to be where I have money, and I know this. I mean, we know this. The money's going to come if you have your hands in the right thing. But I like what Johnny said with the frequency. That was a good way. I like seeing it that way. Like I like to hear it that way because we don't think the same. So that's nobody thinks the same. So I liked how you said that. And how I feel, yeah, when you're talking about like all the good people in this community and everything. I mean, I think you flock together on similarity. So we got to think here. This is for the betterment of humanity. I would say, I mean, a huge almost all of the percentage of these are going to shift humanity in a positive direction. And that alone, when you're talking about frequencies, that's a high frequency. I mean, we know that there's an infinite amount of number of frequencies that exist. I mean, that is reality, vibration, frequency, energy. And that's another thing. When you brought up Coach JV, like energy doesn't lie. And actually that's like I saw one video. I'm like, wow, this guy. Okay, yeah, this is good energy here. I'm going to keep up with this. So number one, yeah, the energy doesn't lie. I mean, you walk down or you say hi to somebody. Hey, how's your day going? To the cashier, and it's she looks at you like you're crazy. All right, well, there's some not so great energy right there. Maybe she's having a bad day, but you can't deny when you just feel that instant positive energy from somebody or whatever, any kind of reaction like that. That doesn't lie. Like nobody can deny that. So the energy, I think, is going to bring us together because, yeah, it's for the betterment of humanity. We're thinking big. And what was it, like 5% of the population hold crypto? Like 5%?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's even less. It's 4% if you want to get like real close.
Oh, well, that's even better. I like that even more. Yeah, so 4%. I mean, gosh, 4% hold. So it's like you got to think here, like to break it down kind of simply. I'll try at least. I mean, this is something when we think of, I'm a huge fan. I love Nikola Tesla. I love him. Oh man, I just everything. I mean, he was a think and he shifted the world. Now I know a lot of his technology was suppressed and it was like kept hidden. I mean, at least that's what I believe. But think of the ideas, the power behind that. His mind was so powerful, and the stuff that he came up with could shift humanity like monumental, like not little steps. I'm talking like 10 staircases. That's the shift. So it's 4% that are even thinking, and also as a frequency, thought is a vibration. Well, vibration and then frequency is the rate of speed at what it vibrates. So literally, I mean, the fact that 4% are coming together and at least thinking like in the future on a really big idea, yeah, I mean, have a lot of that's not everyone can do that. So the fact that we're here is awesome. It's early. And just know that like this is part of history. And I know a lot of people, I think on the show about this a lot. Like this is going to be part of history. So even these conversations, I'm looking at the record button, it's flashing red here. Like this is recorded. Everything's going to be stored on the blockchain. So just imagine like having this to us right now, it seems, or at least to me, it's just a conversation. It's not like it's just a conversation. It's a conversation of similar interest. That's all it is, but it's positive. It's just a similar interest, conversation. But imagine like in like 10 or 20 years, like all of this is going to be recorded and saved on the blockchain. Tokenization, I think, is going to be the biggest thing, one of the biggest, probably the biggest. That's going to, everything tokenized, but it's all going to be stored. So it's not going to go anywhere. And you got to think like the court systems, like all of that, everything is going to be stored. So it's really going to hard to like kind of run from that. This conversation in 20 years, you think about little Jimmy, sitting down on grandpa's lap and oh, let me show you when it went right before this all happened and I was in this conversation, like I'm telling you, like people that are in it early, they know the use. And I mean, once it all finally comes out and it's shown in front of the world, like we're gonna be looked at like gods in a sense. Like, do you realize that people are gonna make billions, millions, trillions? I mean, do you realize like people are gonna look at us like, wow, you were a genius. Why didn't I do that? Because they were too stuck in living in, physical reality and not thinking out of the box. But it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
I mean,
I gotta
it's
agree with you on
huge.
that one. Um, I 100% agree, Abs, with what our man was saying there. Open your wallet, ETH, about people are gonna look at us, right? Everybody right now. I don't know about you guys, but all my best friends and my good friends, I think I'm nuts. I think I'm in a scam and like, oh my god, you're in that scam crypto. That's all garbage. But what's gonna happen when this Bitcoin ETF comes out? It's gonna legitimize this space, and when the space becomes legitimized, then all of a sudden, all you guys, because I know you're all getting the same thing. I know it already. You don't have to tell me. I know your family members. I know your friends. They're all looking at you and saying you're crazy because there's only 4% of the world in crypto. That means there's 96 that aren't. 50 will never come in. The most we'll probably see is 40% coming in. So there's a good high probability that all your friends think you're nuts. But boy, are you all going to look like geniuses. We're all going to look like geniuses, Abs, in the next few years when crypto explodes and many of us become, crypto millionaires, multimillionaires, whatever you want to say it. The point is people are then going to look at you and they're going to say, oh my God, tell me what to invest in next. And the problem is it's going to be too late for them.
Gaz, I'm kicking straight to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a story about like frequency and just how things work, how the universe, and Coach JV is always talking about things are already written. And if you guys have ever heard the story of how I ended up on the team, I literally was, this is a couple years ago, was driving home from work one day, and Jordan Harry, who I didn't know at the time, was talking about the bearable bull and how he pitched the bearable bull to basically go into business with him and like that whole story. And it really resonated with me for some reason, that I remember coming home and telling Shelly I had literally just joined the academy and said, hey, look, I just heard this story. I was self-taught in crypto. I do have a lot of this knowledge and I love helping people. And I just kind of jumped right into the academy. And I kept just running into like Jackie, who was our team leader, right? Not just in the academy, but in other projects and other discords. We just kept running into each other. And then I was talking to Abs and then Mario. And then just kind of like things just fell into place. But it really came full circle because the very first conference, the crypto conference that I went to, that 3T that Coach JV did, who was the host? Jordan Harry. Like literally, you couldn't make this up. It was like in a movie. Like Jordan Harry was the host. I got to meet him, tell him that story, that it was because of him hearing his story motivated me and ended up where I was in that moment, and then getting to meet the bearable bull and all that, and like the rest is history. But that's just how frequency works, right? When everything just it aligns.
Spot on, Gonzo. And I feel like I want to kick it to Cypress X because this is somebody that we've been following for a long time. I don't think I had the opportunity to speak to this person yet. So first of all, shout out to this man. And I always say Cypress X. Sorry about that. It's Cypress Domenicor, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But you do some of the best video analysis on Twitter when it comes to this in-depth finding new news. So shout out to you, my friend. And also, thanks for being here. But what's on your mind? Feel free to share whatever you want to
Hey,
talk
thank
about.
you guys. I appreciate
Come
you
on.
for having me. Yeah, real quick, I wanted to capitalize on something that one of the speakers was saying a second ago.
Oh, my bad. We might have audio issues here. So let me see if we can get him connected. Johnny, take the floor while I get his connection set up.
Abs, I can hear him just fine. He was doing
Oh,
good.
sorry about that.
The only part
Maybe
messed up was you. The only part messed up was you messed up his name. But other than
Yeah.
that, he's good.
Are we good? Are we good?
For some reason, I can't hear him on my end, but just let me know when he's done talking, then I'll continue.
Abs, if you need to, make me the co-host. If you need to bail and come back, you can try that. But make me the co-host first.
For sure.
And go ahead,
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Yes. Cool. So, just one of the things that the gentleman was talking about before is a lot of people aren't aware of this. I think one thing that people need to take into consideration, kind of underballing the next bull market cycle that we experience. The last bull market cycles that we experience as retail investors, people need to understand that the institutional infrastructure was not set in place. That means that the amount of liquidity and volume that these institutions have sitting in their financial institutions as a whole, the bull market cycles in the crypto space before weren't able to handle that. Now the infrastructure is set in place, and you can clearly see that by these large financial institutions like Fidelity and BlackRock applying for these Bitcoin ETFs, because they wouldn't if the infrastructure wasn't put in place. So people really need to understand the precedence of what we're about to experience. Last bull market cycles, 10 trillion, 15 trillion, 20 trillion dollars would have completely wrecked this market. Exchanges would have gone completely bust, shut down, custody providers would have been completely liquidated because of the amount of volume and volatility that would have flown through this space. But now the infrastructure is ready for that type of volume and that amount of liquidity. And so we're about to experience a phase in this market infrastructure, how just like in the stock market, people say, oh, were you in before then or were you in after? And so you have to understand, like the gentleman was saying, people are going to look at us like we're lucky, or how did you find out about that? Not a lot of people know about this. About 1 in every 15 to 20 people know about this whole entire thing that's happening. And you can see that. The IMF director, I put a video out on the X space just a couple of days ago, confirmed that it was not going anywhere. But you did not see that statement on any mainstream media platform. The same exact week that the IMF director was saying that crypto is not going anywhere, what did we see on the mainstream? Elizabeth Warren and her crackdown on crypto. So the narrative is set that's projected to the mainstream media, which is we don't want you in crypto. They know how much liquidity is about to flow through this space. So everybody here listening, if you hold these digital assets that have ability, and you guys know which ones I'm talking about, you are set up for multi-generational wealth. I'm not going to sit here and project numbers or whatever the case may be, but understand that the last bull market cycles that we experienced, the infrastructure was not set in place to handle the amount of liquidity that's about to come into the space, but it is. And I'm telling you right now, people are underestimating what's about to happen in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I agree, Cypress. That's a very good point, and I 100% agree with you. We talked about that actually earlier in the show. I don't know if you read when we were talking about the amount of liquidity. I call it a tsunami. There's a tsunami of money coming in like we've never seen before in this space. And you're 100% right. They can't handle. Listen, we only got to 3 trillion, and they were crashing. They were crashing left and right at 3 trillion. Imagine now, when we had Yusko on the show, Mark thinks we're going to see 5 trillion, and that was a conservative. It could be as high as 8 or 10. So there is no question about it that the infrastructure wasn't there, and it certainly is now. We see it. BlackRock has moved in. BlackRock has moved. When BlackRock moves in, I mean, come on, that's checkmate right there. If people don't know, for you those who don't know, BlackRock manages $10 trillion in assets. When they move into something, they ain't moving into it speculation. They make it happen, and that's what's going to happen. They own all the miners, and now, no surprise, they're launching this Bitcoin ETF because they have finally got the system set up. As we talk about all the time, the sandbox, who was once owned by a bunch of us nerdy, geeky whales, or nerdy guys running the crypto space, it's been hijacked by the big boys now. I agree with Cypress. It's going to be a fun run in 2024 and 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, you get a lot of people too in this space, impatient investors that don't understand the mechanics behind the infrastructure that they're building. And so you get a lot of people that say, oh, well, if you have all these partnerships and these sandboxes and these tests, how come the price hasn't moved? What people need to understand is the way that, and I'm not going to sit here and go into the detailistic perspective of the foundational knowledge that I have behind the scenes, but if you understand banking and you understand the way that they're building this new infrastructure, they built it so that way during the time that they're building it, it can run parallel to the old outdated system. And until everything is set in place, they don't have to use it. They can test on it without manipulating the price or without moving the price of these digital assets significantly. And so when you understand that, I mean, you really understand what's about to happen. They literally built the infrastructure so that they can continuously use the old one until they're ready to use the new one. And that's where this whole terminology of flip the came into play. And they built it so that they can do exactly that.
Yeah, totally. Hard to argue. Can't disagree with it. I think that the whole concept of flip the switches has been taken out of context, but I think the way you laid it out makes more sense. We did lose our host, Abs. I know he's here, but he can't hear us or talk. So, Abs, if you can hear me, leave and come back, and let's see if that works. And in the meantime, we've got Crypto on your veins. I see you got your hands up, so feel free to come and comment.
Yeah,
Johnny,
I see.
I'm sorry, Johnny, you have to add him as a speaker is what he was messaging. Did you try adding him as a speaker?
Well, like I said, because he didn't make me a host, I lost signal. I had to leave and come back, so I lost the host status. And when he left, he didn't make me co-host, so no, I can't. And Mario, I think, has to do it.
I already did.
Okay,
I
there
already
we go.
There we go.
Sorry,
All
go
right.
ahead, continue.
I got a question we could throw out there to get the conversation going. What aside from institutional adoption, what's another kind of solidification you guys think to happen in order to get mass adoption? In order to solidify mass adoption, what else besides institutional adoption do you need to think, or do you think needs to happen?
Well, I think one of the first things you need is regulation. You need law. You need Congress to enact regulation that's going to prevent companies from wanting to be able to, to innovate, to create, without the fear and backlash of either the SEC or somebody else coming after them. So regulation, I think, is going to play a big factor as well into that place of adoption. And then subliminally programming the masses is also going to help. And we had a guy on the show earlier who was talking about the movie Elemental and how they're talking about Lumen and Ripple in the show, right? So you see it; it's a whole machine the way they got these things going. And putting out there, we know that the CBDC is coming. They're going to probably throw some free money out and toss that out to people and get people more familiar with I don't want to say crypto, because in that case, it's really not. But I think so. There's a number of different things, but regulation is really going to be the other key to unlock everything.
I completely agree. I don't know if those you guys want to call on the dudes that have their hands up before I say my part, but they've had their
Well,
hands
go
up.
ahead. You have the floor. So say your part, and we'll kick it over to Crypto Intervenes. And
Yeah, I think ease of access is extremely important. I think that, like how you were talking about earlier, people think that we're crazy. And I think a big part of that is because you kind of have to go out of your way to get involved in this space right now. If you know what I'm talking about. You can't just jump in without doing a massive or extensive amount of research. And for this to become easily adopted by your every single average person that doesn't really care about crypto, they just want to swipe their card at Starbucks and have their payment go through. It's too hard right now for the average citizen to onboard themselves into the digital asset space without it being too much of a risk. So I agree with what you said a second ago, how the masses need to be subliminally programmed. Well, that's going to come in the form of digital identity, carbon credits, and CBDCs. And eventually it's going to get to the point where it's just going to be a tap and go app on your phone that gives you access to these digital assets that are in the back end infrastructure. And it's going to be super easy to use for the every average day person. Until that becomes something that's embedded into the system, we're going to be the early adopters along with the institutions. And the every average day person isn't going to catch up for another 3, 4, 5+ years when that infrastructure gets built. But it's
that's
coming. But
that's
it's going to take time.
100%. Yep, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, we talked about that on the show too. It's 100% true. Nobody gives a shit how things work on the front end, or I should say, sorry, on the back end. They just want it to work, right? Here's my crypto. I want to buy it. I want to sell it. I want to send it. And it's got to be simple. It's got to be easy. The UIs need to be easy on these front end apps. And that's what you're going to see happening. You're going to see, like, so you said when it'll happen? It'll happen when, like, apps like PayPal and Cash App and Venmo allow you to just start sending crypto. And it's already starting to happen. They already have the ability to do
Agreed.
that. It's
I
that
think
those are the things, because my mom, my family who's in crypto, not a single one of them set up their own account. I had to do it for them. None of them could have figured it out. It's
yeah,
too complicated. It's too
it's way too
hard.
complicated. It's too
Way too
complicated.
complicated.
I,
And
I think
that's why
another
only
thing that
4.
people go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think another thing that people need to take into consideration is if you are investing in this space, you're an early adopter, you need to understand that you have a level of knowledge right now that people are going to seek as time evolves. The majority of individuals right now don't even have the educational knowledge on the current payment infrastructure. Most people think that the government controls the money. They don't even know what the Federal Reserve is or who prints money or what quantitative easing or these, foundational economic terms even are. So when it comes to a completely new space that the masses are being projected as a scam or as a skeptic, of course you're going to have people that say, oh, XRP is a scam. Oh, it hasn't moved. It's never been above $1 for over 2 years, blah, 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 blah. You really just need to understand that individuals like the CEO of Broadridge are the ones telling you that crypto is not going away. And so when you can comprehend that, most people don't even know what Broadridge is, right? The institution. So like you got to really understand what level of knowledge you're tapping into. And so when you're coming up on social media, the vast majority of people on social media that talk crap about Ripple and XRP probably couldn't even go and apply for a job at Ripple, the company, and get it approved. You get what I'm saying? So like you really have to understand who's talking crap about this stuff and where you're getting your information from.
I couldn't agree with you more, Cypress. Totally. Hey, do me a favor, bro. I followed you. Can you follow me back? Because I want to DM you about some stuff later on.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, man, totally agree. You nailed it spot on. Couldn't agree with you more. They cannot even talk about this stuff. But, you know, you are right about all of us. The 4% that are here, we're here because we're the early adopters, and we understand it. And we're going to look like geniuses in the long run. And thankfully for all of us that are reaching out to our friends and family and trying to educate them, it's great because we're going to give them an opportunity to also create generational wealth for them, which they would not have been able to do without us. And I love, that's the part that I got to be honest, because I believe in karma. So I don't know if all you guys do or not, and that's fine if you don't. But I believe the more good you put out there, the more good you get back. And so just helping others, I think in the long run, that's going to pay off. And the fact that we can help our friends and families by getting them introduced to something that maybe they don't understand, but we can help them understand, that's going to pay massive dividends, I think, in karma. So with that said, let me kick it over to Crypto Remains, then open your wallet, and then Gonzo. I see you guys all got your hands up, so we'll get to all three of you. Crypto, you go first.
First, I just want to give a correction to Cypress. He was talking about the cycle being for the next 3 years and following market cycles for a long time. The market cycle suggests that this will all be over for this cycle around November 2025. Okay, it's not going to be 3 years. It's going to be more like 2 years. So just keep that in mind. If you're thinking 3 years, better think again and save your butt. Okay. And then as far as implementation,
not to cut you off, I just meant like prolonged period. It's going to be an uptrend over the next couple of years. I didn't mean it's going to be in through good.
the uptrend is going to stop at the end of 2025, and it's going to be down for a year, then sideways for a year, and then it's going to go back up. Okay. As far as implementation goes, I see X being a major factor in this. There's a lot of cryptos out there that are rolling into implementation phase next year, and these kind of things are going to be what introduces a lot more people into the markets. Okay. I can't even tell you how many projects have been building hardcore in the bear market and are going to be implementing their projects into the masses starting in 2024. Okay. That right there, and with X having over 550 million users, that will create a major impact once they start rolling out whatever they're going to be doing with crypto. Nobody knows exactly how it's going to go yet, but it's coming, and it's probably going to kick off in 2024 along with implementation with all these other things.
All right, Gonzo, and then open your wallet. Gonzo, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, just going back to the original question, I agree with you, Johnny. It's going to be regulation, and then like they were talking before, it's the infrastructure, right? It's the ease of use. When you think about the internet and where the internet came from, like the internet used to be a bunch of like separate little internets that didn't communicate or talk to each other. And what really like 10x the internet is once you down those walls and you had a transfer of information, right, that was able to flow seamlessly, and then it was scalable, right? You could have an unlimited amount of websites, right? I could go onto the computer right now and spin up a website using kind of like fabricated already stuff to just kind of plug and play, right? That's where we're at. And so we really need that in this space, right? We need infinite scalability, right? So you need to have and then interoperability. You need all of these blockchains to be able to communicate with each other. Why? So that you could have value that can move from one blockchain to another, right? And so that's where you come into play with this whole narrative about real world assets and tokenizations. That's why a lot of the projects that have been running early are interoperability plays, right? Any kind of project, Celestia is a modular blockchain where you can take pieces of, Celestia's data availability. You can use an EVM from Solana, or you can use the Ethereum virtual machine or Solana's virtual machine, and then, whatever security you want. And so when we get that, and you're able to move value and then scale this instantly, that's really when it kicks off. And I think that's when you really get the solutions that we're talking about, where you're not worried about gas, right? You're not worried about congestion. You just do a transaction, it just happens, and you really don't care whether you have gas in your wallet or not.
Yeah, Gonzo, you nailed it. We talk about this all the time, that the key enabler for the internet was something called TCP/IP, which allowed everything to kind of walk and talk together and bring all these sideload networks or siloed systems together. The same exact thing absolutely has to happen in blockchain technology and Web3. If all these different chains are just running siloed by themselves, it's pointless. Nobody's talking to them. It's like being in a room with a bunch of different people from a different country and there's no translator in the room, right? And so 100% agree with you that we're going to need interoperability. That's going to be another key factor enabler. And that's why I love things like Quant and Link, because they're trying to solve, for that kind of thing. But with that said, I don't know if we got our man Abs back. And we're getting close to the end of this thing. Before I end it, I do want to remind everybody that, this space is sponsored by Merlin. Merlin is the smartest way to track your crypto, guys. If you're in the space and you've got your coins spread out in different areas and you're wondering what's going on, what Merlin does is it lets you bring all your coins into one place. So you just sync your app up to the different exchanges or wallets that you have. The great thing about Merlin is it doesn't custody your keys or your coins. We own nothing. We don't want to see them. We don't need them. We just we sync through API keys, which are permission keys, not coin keys. And from there, you can see everything in one place. You create exit strategies, set up alerts, and then you just set it and forget it. You don't have to be watching your phone every 5 minutes like most of you do. I know because I interviewed a lot of people when we built Merlin, and we found out a lot of people said, man, during the bull run, I was looking at my phone 5, 10, 20 times a day. And I know it's true because I did it too. But the reality is you don't have to do that no more. The solution is here. Click on the link below or maybe above. Go to www.merlincrypto.com. You get to try it 30 days for free. Yes, you have to put a credit card in. That's just to avoid, scammers and bots from coming in. But we don't charge your card for 30 days. You can cancel anytime within the 30 days and still get the 30-day trial. And you just cancel right in the app. We made it really simple. So there's no reason, no risk. We hope you try it. Let us know what you think. And with that said, I think we'll just wrap this thing up. We got open your wallet. So you got your hand up. We'll kick it to you real quick, and then we'll end this baby.
I'll make it quick, I promise. I've been known to go on tangents, so apologies. Yeah, basically, well, I did want to say one thing about Merlin. I went on there and I use Tangent Wallet, and I didn't see that on there because I use like a lot of the ERC20 and stuff. I didn't see Tangent on there. Am I missing it, or can I put in like a request or something?
I'm so glad you said that. So, as we launched Merlin, we're only, with limited resources, we're only able to add so many, but we're always adding new exchanges and wallets over time. So right now we've got basically a lot of the main wallets like Ledger, Exodus, Trust, Treasure, Elipal. Tangent has been requested by a couple people so far. So we did add that, or we are working. We have added that to our list. It's on our roadmap and actually in development, to be honest with you. So we will be beta testing that shortly. And when that's done, we'll release it. Now, the good news is the way we designed Merlin is it doesn't matter whether we have your exchange or wallet, because we also did one thing different than other trackers. We added a manual tool. So you can literally add any coin you want that's on any wallet, and Merlin will track it. Now, it won't update what you do. Like if you buy or sell, you're going to have to manually make that change or adjustment, which is easy to do in Merlin. But once you put it in, you can track it. So as it's going up and down in price, you can see what's happening. Your alerts will work, and all that is there. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, so for now, you would have to just add it manually. And then once we add the actual connector, auto sync connector, you could then just remove the one that you added manually. Hope that answers your question.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm a lot more relieved now. Yeah, because honestly, with the whole thing that came out, with the whole Ledger situation, I don't know. I think I'm going to jump ship from them. And I was all on board. And I mean, I still am in a sense, but it's just that trust has kind of been broken in a sense. It's up in the air, I don't know.
Yeah, they have done themselves no favor over the past year with a couple of different things. Now that was more of an attack on Ledger, and Donzo explained it on the show the other day, where if you took your Ledger and you took it out of your cold storage and you hooked it in your computer and connected it to a D app, that's where it's at risk. So most people don't. Well, you shouldn't be using a cold wallet like that. So if you're using a cold wallet the way you're supposed to, which is leave it to hell locked up in a safe or in a hidden place, and don't connect it to the internet, and just move your stuff to an exchange when you want to sell, then your ledger's okay. You're not at risk, right? What becomes risky is when you start connecting these things to apps, D apps, and things like that have access to it. Now, the thing about Merlin is, we're not a D app. We don't have access to any of your keys or coins. We can't buy or sell anything. All we can do is display. We just list the transaction like it's a read-only app. So even if we were to get hacked, the worst case scenario is somebody looks in your account and sees what you have. That's it. And oh, by the way, guess what? They could do that right now if they just want to go on the blockchain, because all your information is publicly available, just as mine is, because we all have public on the blockchain. But anyway, yeah. So that's how that works. So just keep your cold storage wallets in a safe place, and they should be. You should be fine. Now, the other thing I recommend everybody is have two. Don't put everything on one. Split your stuff up. My Atomic wallet got hacked in that June attack, and I lost about half my stuff. Good thing I had half my stuff somewhere else. Otherwise, I would have lost all my crypto, and I'd be pissed. So make sure you split your stuff up.
Oh yeah, I'm so weary whenever I buy any kind of crypto. I'm like, as soon as it hits my account, I'm like, let me get that here. Like, it's like I'm like worried. Like as soon as I buy it, I'm like, okay, that anything could happen, and I just get it off as quick as possible. I actually know, before I was really into crypto, this, I guess of this sector of this part. It was NFTs caught my eye because I just saw the money. People are paying 80,000, well, yeah, 80 grand for a freaking JPEG of a rock. Wow. That's how I got into it. Kind of, it sparked my attention. But I know these guys, like, there's like 4 of them that got me into it, and they literally had so much money sitting off their FTX accounts, and that's the only platform they used. Like that was it. There was no other platform. So I don't know. It was weird. Like they introduced me to the FTX platform. I went on there and I bought some crypto, held it on there, and I don't know. Like a couple weeks later, I was just like, I want to get it off here. Something feels weird now, so I got it off there. I'm glad I did. Yeah. So you just have to be careful. I mean, the way I see, like, okay, everyone's going to take advantage of an opportunity when they can. I think we all agree to that. Like we see this in our day-to-day lives. So it's so different when these like huge companies and these people, these huge players in the game, like they know that it's the Wild West right now. They know it's like shaky. It's just flimsy. It's pretty flimsy right now. There's not a lot of like solidarity to it. It's not very firm yet. So they know they can play. They can mash and they can play with this and they can kind of bend things. They can mess around with it, and they know that this is the only time, because once everything gets kicked in and set into place, like there's going to be no more of that. So I think they're really taking advantage of these opportunities right now. They know that this is the golden slot. Like there's a threshold. Once we pass that, there's going to be no more screwing people over. These exchanges collapsing and just people rugging and all of that. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I just think everyone's tired of that, and there's going to be a threshold. Once we
Yeah.
cross it, that's not going to happen. I just think they're taking advantage because when you think about it, like there's so many new investors. Like even if you're investing into crypto, not everybody even knows about it. You have the investors, the people that study and they know the technology and they know the use. They can see the future, how it's going to play in the future. Then you have some people. How I kind of got into it, it was just like, wow, this is a huge money opportunity. But once I started to study it, I saw the technology. I want to touch on this like 2 more minutes, and I promise I'll be done. David Schwartz, he did like a fireside chat, and he was talking about like what's all possible, and he was talking about like how with this technology that's coming out and what's going to be set in place now, basically you can get paid by the second. So you can go to your job and you have your Web3 wallet, and you can literally, your employer can literally every hour you could get paid instead of once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month. And just moving money that fast, I mean, that's going to shift it's going to change everything. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems silly. Like he was on the chat, he said, well, yeah, you can get paid every hour, every second. You're a Lyft driver, you can get paid every second, for your ride. People are like, well, why does that matter? Like, well, who cares if I get paid faster?
It
We
does
don't really
matter.
understand it yet, but getting paid
actually
like
does.
that would change everything. That's just one
100%.
example. Like I just, when I try to wrap my head around that, like getting paid every hour, it's I
Well,
don't
think
know.
about it.
It's
Let
crazy.
me chime
And
in here
the
for a
last
second.
thing I just wanted to say, so we're all at least more informed than like the average person on this kind of stuff on crypto. So we, at least see something on like crypto Twitter or, something about the news, how crypto's a scam, CBDCs are, good, crypto's bad, CBDCs are a scam. Or yeah, I like that sign you always have. I don't, probably got it all wrong. Basically, like you got to think like the average person that's going on there and watching the news, when they see crypto scam, like they have no other information to go off of. So that's the only thing they have to go off of. When we go on, if we were to go on the news and watch it and see crypto is a scam, like we would have information to go off of and say, oh wait, no, all that research I learned and stuff, that stuff I studied, no, that's BS. So the reason why we can see that, I mean, we have information to go off of, but the only reason we do is because we're studying this stuff. The normal person has nothing to go off of. Like I talked to my mom and I said, hey, I'm really into crypto, and oh, and she was just like, there's no more of the conversation. That was it. Pause, stop, line drawn. So yeah, that's all it is. It's like people have no other information to go out, like the average person, they have nothing to go off of because that requires you to research it. And yeah, that's it. It's I guess that's why. I mean, there's nothing they're going off of,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why
Let
we
me
go on there and we can look over at this information that we learned and no, that's not true. So we can decipher it. That person can.
Yep, that's great. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. I agree with you that at the end of the day, the problem is it's more of a one-sided story. And as I said, people just turn on CNN or Fox News. They choose to believe in it, and what they hear there is what they're going to do. And the big boys know that, and that's why the majority of the population is just going to get sucked into this thing when it's too late, and they will become exit liquidity for everybody. But guys, don't let you become exit liquidity. Remember, the space is a spot Merlin. And the smartest way to track your crypto. And that's the point is we don't want you to be somebody else's exit liquidity. You don't have to. You now have a tool that will help you exit the market. So you can bring all your coins in one place. And kind of to what Open was just saying is it is unsafe to leave your stuff on the exchanges. And the beautiful thing about Merlin is you can take everything off the exchanges, put it in your wallets where they're safe. Then you can sync your wallets or you can manually add them, doesn't matter, to Merlin. So you can see everything, see what your portfolio is doing. When the markets are pumping, you can see what's up, what's down. We got daily gains, daily losses, total gains, total losses. You can sort by columns. It's so cool to be able to see exactly what your portfolio is doing and get those critical alerts. You can set up alerts and know when to get out. So click on the link below. Join free, 30 days. Try it out. Everybody that spoke tonight, if you could, we'd love for everybody to follow everybody. Appreciate everybody who came up and spoke tonight. All the opinions are of the people there and not of Merlin. So just remember that. Special thanks to Abs who came out and is hosting our show. You can find him every single day at the 3T Warrior Academy channel at Good Morning Crypto, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Come check us out if you haven't watched our show. We'll be there tomorrow. Thank you to Gonzo, to Mario, Jeremy, and everybody else, and all the speakers who came and spoke tonight. I appreciate you. Love you guys. And remember, my name is Johnny Crypto with a K, and I'm wishing you guys all a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.